Have you ever felt that your days are full, yet somehow empty? You wake up, check your phone, rush through breakfast, reply to messages, go to work, and before you know it, the sun has set. You're tired, your eyes hurt, your mind is loud. You've been busy all day, but when you finally sit down and think about what you actually did, you realize you didn't really move forward. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fluent English journey. I'm so happy you're here today. Take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. This is your quiet time, your time to listen, to think, and to grow in English, and maybe to grow as a person too. Today's topic is something that touches almost everyone in the world, being busy. But I want to ask you something deeper. Are you just busy, or are you really productive? You see, those two words, busy and productive, may look similar, but they're worlds apart. One makes you feel trapped. The other makes you feel free. One fills your time. The other fills your life. Let's start with a small story. There was once a young man named Leo. He lived in a big, crowded city, a place that never slept. Every morning, Leo would wake up early, take a quick shower, and run to work with a cup of coffee in his hand. His phone was always buzzing, emails, messages, meetings, notifications. He was proud of it. He thought, I'm doing great. I'm busy. I'm important. But every night, when he returned home, something inside him felt heavy. He was doing so much, but somehow his heart was quiet, almost empty. He was moving fast, but not moving forward. Have you ever felt like Leo? Have you ever finished a day full of activity, yet wondered what you really achieved? Sometimes, being busy feels like being alive. We think movement means progress. But movement without direction is just noise. Let's think about the difference together. When you're busy, you often react. You answer messages. You say yes to every task. You try to do 10 things at once. When you're productive, you choose. You focus. You say no to what doesn't matter. You spend time, not just use it. Leo didn't know this difference yet. All he knew was that he was running out of time. Every week, he told himself, next week I'll rest. Next week I'll start what I really want to do. But next week never came. Then one morning, something happened. Leo was on the train to work, half awake, scrolling through his phone. He saw a message from an old friend, someone he hadn't spoken to in years. The message said, Hey Leo, long time. How have you been? Do you still paint? Leo stared at the message for a long time. Paint? He used to love painting. He used to stay up all night creating pictures that made him feel alive. But now his brushes were dusty, hidden in a box under his bed. He replied with a small smile. No, I've been too busy. Too busy. Two small words that hide a big truth. Sometimes we say busy when we really mean disconnected. Disconnected from what we love, from who we are, from what matters. Let's pause here for a second. When was the last time you felt deeply connected to what you were doing? Not just active, but alive? Maybe it was when you were learning English with full attention, feeling curious, enjoying each new word. Or maybe when you spent time with someone and felt truly present, not checking your phone, not thinking of your to-do list. That feeling, that calm energy, that is productivity. Not just doing more, but doing what matters most. In English, there's a small but powerful phrase. Less is more. It means sometimes doing less, but doing it with meaning, gives you more peace, more value, more growth. Leo didn't know that yet. He was too busy trying to prove himself. But that one message from his friend started to wake something up inside him. For the first time in months, he wondered, what am I really doing with my time? What am I working for? Am I creating, or just repeating? That morning, as the train moved past the gray city buildings, Leo decided to stop scrolling. He looked out the window. He saw a small bird sitting on a wire, calm, still, watching the world move. And for some reason, Leo felt jealous. He thought, That bird isn't rushing anywhere. And yet, it's alive, it's free. Maybe I need to learn from that. He didn't know it yet, but that moment, that quiet thought, was the beginning of a big change. Because change often starts not with a loud decision, but with a small, honest question. And maybe that's where your change begins too. So as we continue this journey together, I want you to ask yourself, not in English, not for grammar, but for your heart, are you just busy or truly productive? The next morning, Leo woke up before his alarm. It was still dark outside, and the city was quiet for once. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about that message from his old friend. Do you still paint? The question echoed in his mind like a soft knock on a closed door. He hadn't painted in almost 3 years. Not because he didn't want to, but because he always told himself he didn't have time. He looked at the clock. 5:42 a.m. Normally, he would have checked his emails, scrolled through news, and rushed to get ready. But this time, he just sat up slowly and whispered to himself, "What if I start small?" He opened the old box under his bed. Inside were his brushes, dry and stiff, and a few half-used tubes of paint. The smell of old canvas filled the room. It brought back memories, colors, laughter, a time when life felt slower and clearer. He smiled. Maybe I can paint for 10 minutes. Just 10. And he did. At first, his hand was shaky. His brush felt strange, almost unfamiliar. But as he began to move it across the paper, something inside him relaxed. His thoughts slowed down. His breathing softened. For those 10 minutes, the noise of the world disappeared. It felt good. Not because he finished something, but because he started something that mattered. That morning, Leo learned his first quiet lesson. Productivity doesn't always mean speed. Sometimes it means stillness. He went to work after that, but his energy was different. He smiled more. He felt lighter. He wasn't faster, but he was calmer. He wasn't doing more, but he was doing better. And that's the magic of focus. When you give your full attention to one thing, even for a short time, it fills you with purpose. It's like water to a dry plant. It gives life. Later that day, Leo sat in another long meeting at work. Charts, numbers, graphs, everyone talking fast, using big words. He looked around and thought, everyone here is busy. But are we actually doing anything that matters? It reminded him of something his grandfather once said. A bee works all day, but a butterfly can move the world with one flight. He didn't understand it back then. But now he did. Being busy doesn't always mean being useful. And being slow doesn't mean you're lazy. It's about direction, not speed. In English, there's a phrase. Don't confuse activity with achievement. It means doing a lot doesn't always mean achieving a lot. Think about your own English learning for a moment. Maybe you watch 10 English videos in one day, but you don't really listen. You don't repeat, you don't feel. You're busy, but not productive. But if you watch just one video slowly, repeat after it, think about every line and practice it, you learn deeply. You grow. That's real progress. That's real productivity. Leo didn't know it yet, but that small morning habit, those 10 minutes of painting, would soon change everything. Because when you change how you start your day, you change your direction. The next week, Leo started waking up early just to paint before work. It became his quiet ritual. No phone, no emails, just him, the colors, and silence. He noticed something interesting. The rest of his day became smoother. He was more focused during meetings, less irritated, more creative. It was as if his brain said, "Thank you for giving me peace first." And that's something many people forget. Your mind needs quiet time to create meaningful work. When you're constantly reacting, you don't give yourself space to think. And when you don't think deeply, your work, and even your English, stays shallow. Leo was starting to feel it. One morning, while he was painting, he suddenly realized his brush strokes were more confident. His movements were steady. He was improving, little by little. He laughed softly. "I'm learning again," he whispered. And that's the beauty of slow practice. It's invisible, but powerful. That day, Leo decided to apply this same idea to his job. He began making a list, not of everything he had to do, but of what truly mattered. He wrote at the top, "One thing that will make today meaningful." Just one thing. Sometimes it was a big task, sometimes a small one. But every day, he made sure he completed that one important thing before the day ended. He noticed something amazing. His days started to feel shorter, but fuller. He didn't feel tired all the time. And when he went to sleep, he felt satisfied, not because he was busy, but because he was effective. That's what real productivity feels like. It's not heavy, it's light. It doesn't drain you, it energizes you. Let's pause here for a moment, my friend. What about you? What's one thing that truly matters to you today? Maybe it's finishing a small project. Maybe it's practicing English for 20 minutes with full focus. Maybe it's calling someone you love. Whatever it is, give it your full attention. Because when you focus on what matters, your time becomes valuable, not just filled. That evening, Leo sent another message to his old friend. He wrote, "I started painting again. Thank you." The reply came soon after. "I knew you would. You always just needed to stop and breathe." Leo smiled. He realized something simple, but powerful. Being busy is easy. Being productive, being intentional, takes courage. And for the first time in a long time, Leo felt free. Next time, we'll follow Leo as he faces his biggest challenge yet, learning to say no. Because to stay truly productive, you must protect your time, your energy, and your focus, just like you protect your dreams. But before that, here's a small reflection for you. When you finish listening today, don't just move to the next video. Sit for a minute. Ask yourself, what matters most to me right now? Then go and do that slowly, clearly, with heart. Because that's where true productivity begins. The next few weeks felt different for Leo. He was still working the same job, living in the same small apartment, walking the same crowded streets. But inside him, something had changed. He was learning to breathe between moments, to notice the sunrise, to pause before replying. And yet, there was still one thing that made him feel tired: people. Every day, someone wanted something from him. His boss wanted reports faster. His friends wanted him to hang out after work. His coworkers wanted help finishing their tasks. Leo didn't like saying no. He never had. He thought saying no made him look rude, selfish, or lazy. So he kept saying yes, yes to every request, yes to every meeting, yes to every plan. But every time he said yes to others, he was saying no to himself. One Friday evening, Leo sat at his desk long after everyone had left. The office lights buzzed softly. His eyes were burning from staring at the screen. He was finishing a report for someone else, a report he didn't even need to do. He looked at the time. 10:47 p.m. He sighed. Why am I still here? He opened his notebook and saw the words he had written a week ago. One thing that will make today meaningful. He realized he hadn't done it. He had spent all day helping others, answering calls, running around, but he hadn't touched the one thing that mattered most to him. That moment hit him like a quiet truth. He whispered, "If I keep living like this, my life will belong to everyone except me." That night, Leo walked home through empty streets. The air was cool, the lights soft. He stopped at a small park and sat on a bench. He closed his eyes and listened to the sound of the wind through the trees. He thought about all the times he wanted to rest, but didn't. All the times he wanted to say no, but smiled and said, sure. And he asked himself, why am I afraid to protect my time? Then he remembered something his art teacher once told him years ago. When you paint, You must protect the white space. The beauty of the painting isn't just in the colors, it's in the empty space between them. Leo smiled. He finally understood. The same is true for life. Productivity isn't about filling every moment, it's about protecting your space to create meaning. The next morning, Leo decided to try something new. He wrote one small word on a sticky note and placed it on his desk. It said, "No." A reminder, not to reject everything, but to remember that his time is limited and precious. That day, his coworker, Sarah, came over and asked, "Hey Leo, could you help me finish my slides? I'm behind again." Leo smiled kindly and said, "I'm sorry, Sarah. I really can't today. I need to focus on my own report." She looked surprised. Leo had never said no before. But something unexpected happened. She didn't get angry. She just nodded and said, "Okay, no problem." Leo felt a strange calm wash over him. That one small no gave him back a piece of his energy. He realized something powerful. When you say no to what doesn't matter, you say yes to what truly does. For many people learning English, this is also true. Sometimes you feel like you must do everything: grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, listening, writing, all at once. You watch many videos, read many books, jump from one topic to another. But that's just being busy, not productive. Real growth in English happens when you focus deeply on one small thing at a time. Maybe one day you focus only on listening carefully. The next day on speaking slowly and clearly. It's not about doing more, it's about doing well. You don't need to study 10 hours a day. You just need to study with intention. And sometimes that means saying no to distractions. No to multitasking. No to comparing yourself to others. When you protect your focus, your English and your life start to transform. One evening, Leo's boss called him and said, "Leo, I'm giving you a new project. It's important, but the deadline is tight. I'll need you to work late this week." Leo paused. The old Leo would have said, "Of course." But now he thought carefully. He took a deep breath and replied, "I can take the project, but I'll need one extra day. That way, I can make sure it's done well." His boss was silent for a moment, then said, "All right, that's fair. Thank you for being honest." Leo hung up and smiled. He had just used his voice calmly, confidently. He didn't argue. He didn't apologize. He simply protected his time. And that's something powerful, learning that boundaries are not walls, they are doors you choose when to open. That night, Leo painted again. He painted a small tree with strong roots and open branches. At the bottom, he wrote a simple sentence. "Growth needs space." He looked at it and whispered, "So do I." If you're listening right now, I want you to think of your own space. Do you give yourself time to breathe? To learn slowly? To enjoy what you're doing? Sometimes, saying no isn't about rejecting others. It's about saying yes to your dreams, your energy, your peace. In English, there's a phrase. You can do anything, but not everything. Remember that. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to choose. It's okay to say no. Because productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters with heart. In the next part of Leo's story, he'll face a moment of truth when life tests what he's learned. When pressure returns and old habits call him back. Will he fall into the same busy trap again? Or will he hold on to the peace he's found? Life has a way of testing us just when we start to grow. And for Leo, that test came one Monday morning, quiet, ordinary, but full of hidden storms. He walked into the office with a clear mind. His plan was simple: focus on one important project, finish it calmly, and leave on time. But as soon as he opened his laptop, the flood began. Emails, notifications, a message from his boss, another request from a colleague, a reminder from a client. And then his phone buzzed again twice. By 9 a.m., his plan was gone. The calm of the early morning had disappeared, replaced by the familiar noise of the busy world. He felt his heart beating faster, his mind jumping between screens. He wanted to breathe, but everything demanded his attention. For a moment, Leo almost fell back into his old habits. He wanted to say yes to everything again, to hurry, to please everyone. But then, his eyes caught a small note on his desk. That same yellow sticky note with one word written in black ink, no. He smiled softly. He took a deep breath and whispered, "Not this time." He closed his email. He turned off his phone notifications. Then he opened his notebook and wrote one simple line. What truly matters today? He paused. He thought. And then he wrote his answer. Finish the project with clarity, not speed. That became his mission. He wasn't going to race. He was going to move with purpose. But of course, the world doesn't slow down just because we do. People came to his desk again, asking for help. Messages popped up, full of urgency. Deadlines appeared like shadows. Yet this time, Leo smiled. He said things he had never said before, gentle but firm sentences like, "I can help you tomorrow. I'll finish my part first. Let's discuss this later when I can focus." Simple sentences. Powerful boundaries. And to his surprise, people respected him more, not less. His boss even said one afternoon, "Leo, you've been more focused lately. Your work feels clearer." Leo nodded. Inside, he felt proud, not for doing more, but for doing better. That night, as he walked home, Leo thought about how easy it is to lose yourself when the world speeds up. We start to measure our worth by how full our calendars are. We mistake pressure for purpose. We confuse being needed with being useful. But real growth happens in the quiet choices, the ones no one sees. The moment you decide to turn off the noise and return to what matters. Now, let's pause for a moment, just you and me. Have you ever felt like the world around you is moving too fast? That everyone expects something from you, work, school, friends, family, and you don't even have a moment to think? It's okay. You're not alone. The truth is, modern life teaches us to rush, but it doesn't teach us to focus. And that's where real productivity begins, when you choose stillness inside the storm. In English, there's a beautiful expression. Be still in the middle of movement. It means even when everything around you moves fast, you can still move with grace, calmly, intentionally. And this applies to English learning, too. Many learners rush. They jump from one topic to another, one accent, one video, one grammar lesson, one word list. They fill their time but lose their focus. But the best learners, the ones who truly grow, are like Leo. They slow down. They give full attention to one task, one sentence, one story, one sound. They practice with calm, not chaos. Because language, like art, grows in silence, not in noise. One evening, Leo sat in a small cafe after work. It was raining outside, soft and steady. He opened his sketchbook and started drawing again, this time, not for anyone, not for a goal, just for peace. A young woman sitting nearby noticed him and smiled. "Your art looks peaceful," she said. Leo smiled back and replied, "It's not the art. It's the silence around it." They both laughed quietly. And Leo realized peace attracts peace. He had spent years chasing productivity through noise, but now he was finding it through quiet focus. He wrote a note in his sketchbook that night. "I can't control the world's speed, but I can control my pace." Those words became his anchor. And maybe they can become yours too. Whenever life feels too fast, whenever you feel you're falling behind, stop. Breathe. Ask yourself, what truly matters right now? Then do that, slowly and completely. Because true productivity isn't measured in tasks, it's measured in peace. Weeks passed, and Leo's new habits began to shape his life. His mornings were slower, his work clearer, his evenings filled with color again. He was still busy, yes, but now busy with meaning. He wasn't just doing, he was living. One Friday, his boss called him into the office and said, "Leo, I've noticed something. You're working less hours, but producing better results. What's your secret?" Leo smiled and said, "I stopped being busy." The boss laughed, thinking it was a joke. But Leo wasn't joking. He had learned that when your mind is calm, your work becomes clear. When your heart is steady, your results improve naturally. And when you give your time purpose, life gives you peace. So, if you're listening right now, remember this lesson. When the world speeds up, don't chase it. Let it pass. Stay still. Because your power isn't in running, it's in knowing when to pause. The world doesn't reward the fastest, it rewards the most focused. And sometimes, the most powerful move you can make is no movement at all. Next time, we'll see what happens when Leo's calm life meets a big opportunity, one that could change everything. But will he be able to stay true to his new pace? Or will success tempt him back into the chaos of busyness? It had been 3 months since Leo started changing his life. 3 months of quiet mornings, focused work, and slow, calm evenings with his sketchbook. His days were no longer filled with chaos, they were filled with meaning. He wasn't perfect, but he was peaceful. Then one Monday morning, as sunlight filtered through the blinds in his small apartment, Leo's phone buzzed with a message from his boss. "Come to my office at 10. I want to talk about something important." He felt a small spark of nervous excitement. He had been working steadily, producing good results, and helping his team stay organized. Maybe this was a good sign. He got dressed, took a deep breath, and walked to work. At 10 a.m. sharp, Leo stepped into his boss's office. His boss looked up with a smile. "Leo, you've been doing great work lately. You've become one of our most reliable people. I want to offer you a promotion, team leader." For a moment, time froze. Leo had dreamed about this years ago. A promotion meant recognition, respect, and, of course, more money. It was everything he used to want. But as his boss continued talking, a quiet unease began to rise in him. "It's a big role," his boss said. "You'll manage more people, take more meetings, handle more deadlines. It'll be busy, very busy. But it's a great opportunity." Busy. That word again. Leo smiled politely, but inside, something twisted. He thought of his calm mornings, his quiet painting, his peaceful evenings. Would all that disappear if he took this job? That afternoon, Leo walked alone through the city streets. Cars rushed by, people hurried past, everyone seemed to be in a race. He looked around and thought, they all look like I used to. He found a bench near the river and sat down. The wind was cool, carrying the smell of water and rain. He pulled out his small sketchbook, the one he carried everywhere now. He opened it to a blank page and wrote one question. "Do I want success or balance?" He stared at those words for a long time. Years ago, he would have chosen success without hesitation. But now, success didn't feel as simple as it used to. He remembered the long nights at the office, the endless coffee cups, the noise, the tired eyes. He remembered how he used to tell himself, "When I get promoted, I'll finally be happy." But happiness had never come from titles. It had come from peace. From focus. From painting for 10 quiet minutes in the morning. He thought about something his grandfather once told him when he was a child. If a tree grows too fast, it breaks in the wind. But if it grows slowly, its roots become strong. Leo whispered, "Maybe my roots still need time." That night, Leo called his friend, the one who had sent that message months ago. They hadn't spoken in a while. "Hey," Leo said, "I got a promotion offer today." "That's amazing," his friend replied. "You must be so happy." Leo hesitated. I am, but I'm also scared. I've worked so hard to find balance. I don't want to lose it again. There was a pause. Then his friend said quietly, Leo, growth isn't about climbing higher. It's about growing deeper. Those words hit him like soft rain on dry soil. Growing deeper. He thanked his friend, hung up, and sat by his window, watching the city lights flicker. He realized that being productive doesn't always mean taking on more. Sometimes it means protecting what's already working. The next morning, Leo walked into his boss's office again. He took a deep breath and said, "Thank you for trusting me with this opportunity. It means a lot. But I have to be honest, I'm not ready to lead a big team right now. I'm still learning how to work with balance, not burnout." His boss looked surprised. "You're turning it down?" Leo nodded gently. "Yes. I want to keep doing good work without losing myself again." There was silence for a moment. Then his boss smiled slowly and said, "That's brave, Leo. Most people say yes to everything. But I respect your clarity. Let's keep building at your pace." Leo smiled, not a smile of victory, but of peace. He had chosen his path not out of fear, but out of wisdom. That day, he learned something powerful. True productivity isn't about saying yes to every opportunity. It's about saying yes to the right ones. Now, my friend, let's pause for a moment, just you and me. Have you ever said yes to something you didn't truly want, just because you were afraid to miss a chance? It happens to all of us. We think opportunities are rare, so we grab everything that comes our way. But sometimes, the most powerful choice is patience. In English, there's a phrase, "You can't pour from an empty cup." It means you can't give your best when you're exhausted, when your mind is full, when your heart is tired. You must refill your own energy first. You must protect your peace, even from success. Leo was learning this truth deeply. And so can you. When it comes to learning English, remember, growth doesn't mean rushing through lessons or chasing every new method you see online. It means going deeper, not faster. Repeating with focus. Listening carefully. Enjoying the process instead of counting the results. That's how real fluency grows, slowly, quietly, naturally. As days turned into weeks, Leo felt lighter. He worked with focus, rested with peace, and lived with intention. He was no longer afraid of missing out. He had discovered something far more powerful, the joy of enough. He no longer wanted more time, he wanted meaning in time. No longer wanted more work, he wanted work that mattered. And that shift changed everything. He started mentoring a younger coworker, teaching him how to manage tasks calmly and clearly. He taught him to breathe between moments, to take breaks, to think before reacting. And soon, people began noticing not just Leo's results, but his presence. He was the calm one in the room, the one who didn't rush but always delivered. His peace had become his power. And that's the quiet truth of productivity. It's not about chasing life. It's about creating space to live it. Life often tests us when we least expect it. Just when everything feels calm, a storm begins. And that's exactly what happened to Leo. 2 weeks after he turned down the promotion, something unexpected happened at work. His company received a massive new project, one that had to be completed in a very short time. Everyone was nervous. The deadlines were tight, the meetings doubled, and the energy in the office shifted. Leo could feel it, that old tension returning. People were rushing again. Emails flooded in. Conversations became shorter, sharper, faster. The quiet rhythm he had built started to tremble under the noise. That Monday morning, his manager walked over to his desk. "Leo, I know you said no to the promotion, but we need your help. You're the only one who can handle the design part. Can you take the lead on this project? Just temporarily?" Leo hesitated. It wasn't the same as a promotion, but it was still a big responsibility. He didn't want to say no. He wanted to help. "Okay," he said finally, "I'll do it." And just like that, the storm began. At first, he managed well. He set clear goals, made simple plans, and stayed focused. But as days passed, things got harder. Messages poured in from every direction: clients, teammates, managers. Everyone wanted answers now. Every morning started with stress and ended with exhaustion. Leo felt the pressure build, slowly and quietly, like waves hitting a rock. One night, as he sat at his desk, he caught himself opening 5 tabs at once, answering a message, checking an email, reviewing a design, and scrolling social media, all at the same time. He froze. It was the old pattern again. Busy, distracted, overwhelmed. He put his hands on his face and whispered, "No, not again." The next morning, Leo arrived early, before anyone else. The office was silent. The air smelled like coffee and paper. He sat down, closed his eyes, and took a deep breath. Then he whispered softly, "Focus on one thing." He opened his notebook, not his laptop, and wrote, "One thing at a time." He decided to try something new, something small but powerful. For 1 hour, he would do only one task. No messages, no emails, no multitasking. Just one clear focus. That first hour felt slow, but also peaceful. He noticed details he usually missed. He finished his design earlier than expected, and it looked better than usual. He smiled quietly. So this is real productivity, he thought. But the world outside didn't slow down. The project was still intense, and other people around him were still rushing. Sometimes, when people saw Leo working calmly, they misunderstood. "Come on, man. Hurry up," someone said one afternoon. "You're too slow," another joked. Leo looked up and replied gently, "I'm not slow. I'm focused." They laughed, but Leo didn't mind. He knew what they didn't. Speed without clarity is just chaos. He reminded himself, calm is not weakness. Calm is control. As days passed, something interesting happened. The project began to move forward smoothly. Leo's quiet focus started to influence others. People began asking him for advice. "How do you stay so calm?" a coworker asked one day. "I feel like I'm drowning in work." Leo smiled softly and said, "I used to drown too, until I realized that being busy isn't the same as being productive. Now I try to do less, but better." The coworker nodded slowly, thinking about it. Sometimes, the simplest advice carries the deepest truth. One afternoon, during a long meeting, the team discovered a mistake in the project, a major one. Everyone panicked. Voices rose. Fingers pointed. Leo stayed quiet for a moment, listening. Then he said, "Let's stop. Let's take 5 minutes. Breathe. Then we'll find the solution." At first, no one listened. But then, one by one, people began to calm down. They took a short break, and when they returned, Leo had already found the problem and the fix. The storm had tested him, but he didn't break. He had learned how to stand in the rain without losing his balance. Later that evening, Leo walked home through the city. It was still raining, but lightly now, soft drops glistening on the streetlights. He didn't rush. He let the rain fall on his shoulders and smiled. In that quiet walk, he realized something beautiful. Peace isn't found in silence. It's created inside us, even when the world is loud. And that's when he finally understood real productivity isn't about control over time. It's about control over attention. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. If you give your attention to everything, you give your energy to nothing. He whispered to himself, slowly and clearly, "Focus is freedom." Let's pause here, my friend. Take a deep breath with me. In and out. Now think, how often do you find yourself trying to do too many things at once? Studying English, checking your phone, replying to messages, watching videos. It feels like you're learning, but your mind is scattered. You're busy, but not productive. So here's a small English practice challenge for you, inspired by Leo's moment of focus. Tomorrow, choose one simple thing to do in English. Maybe listen to one story. Or speak for 10 minutes. But give it your full attention, no distractions. You'll notice how much deeper your learning becomes. You'll feel English more clearly, not just hear it. That's the power of focus, the bridge between being busy and being productive. The project ended 2 weeks later. It was a success. Not perfect, but done well. And more importantly, Leo had kept his peace through it all. His boss congratulated the team. Then he looked at Leo and said, "I don't know how you stayed so calm during that chaos. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Leo smiled. He had learned how to move through storms without being swept away. He realized that life would always bring noise, challenges, and distractions, but inner calm was a choice. And productivity wasn't about doing everything right now. It was about doing the right thing right now. Life had started to move differently for Leo. Not faster. Not slower. Just smoother. Every morning now began with silence, not the empty kind, but the peaceful kind. He made his tea slowly, watching the steam rise like a soft dance. He didn't check his phone right away. He didn't rush to his desk. He just breathed. It was strange, he thought, how much energy he used to waste trying to move fast. Now, by moving slower, he got more done. He smiled at the thought and whispered, "Maybe life isn't a race, maybe it's a rhythm." Over the next few weeks, Leo began to notice something beautiful. His sense of time had changed. When he walked to work, he noticed the faces of people passing by, not just the noise. He saw colors more clearly, heard sounds more deeply. He started greeting the old man who sold flowers near the subway. He smiled at the young woman reading on the train every morning. It felt like life had slowed down enough for him to see it. Inside, Leo felt grounded, like a tree with deep roots. One Friday evening, after work, his friend called again. "Hey, we're meeting tonight at the cafe. Wanna come?" Leo thought for a second. Before, he would have said yes without thinking, even if he was exhausted. Now he paused. He looked at his sketchbook on the table, half finished, waiting. He looked at his cup of tea, still warm. Then he smiled and said, "Not tonight. I think I need a quiet evening." "You sure?" "Everyone's coming." "Yeah," Leo replied gently, "I'll see you another time." He hung up, sat by the window, and watched the city lights come alive. It felt good, not lonely, not boring, but peaceful. He realized that saying no to others sometimes meant saying yes to himself. Over time, Leo's new rhythm started to influence other parts of his life. He began cooking again, simple meals, made slowly. He started reading, not for work, but for curiosity. And every Sunday, he went to the park with his sketchbook. Sometimes he didn't even draw. He just sat on the grass, listened to the wind, and thought about how far he'd come. There was no rush, no guilt, no endless to-do list running in his head. He had learned the art of enough. One afternoon, a younger coworker came to him for advice. "Leo, how do you manage everything so easily?" "I'm so tired all the time. I feel like I'm always behind." Leo smiled kindly. "I used to feel that way too. I thought being busy meant I was important. But then I realized the more I rush, the less I live." The coworker frowned. "But how do you keep up? The world moves so fast." Leo nodded slowly. "It does. But you don't have to move with the world's speed. You can move with your own rhythm." He paused, then added, "You can't control time, but you can control how you live inside it." Those words stayed with the young coworker and maybe with you too. Now, my friend, think about your own life for a moment. How do you move through your days? Do you wake up and immediately check your phone? Do you rush from one thing to another, lessons, work, messages, without truly being in any of them? Sometimes, we live like our lives are background music, always playing but never heard. But when we slow down, even a little, we start hearing the melody again. That's what Leo had discovered, the rhythm of real life. It wasn't about doing less. It was about being present in what he did. And that's what you can bring into your English practice, too. Let's talk about that for a moment. You see, learning English is not just about studying more words or watching more videos. It's about rhythm, the rhythm of attention, practice, and rest. When you listen with focus, repeat with patience, and give yourself space to absorb, your English starts to breathe. You don't have to rush. You don't have to know everything today. You just have to stay present in this moment, in this sentence, in this sound. Leo's calm rhythm is the same rhythm you need to grow your fluency. So right now, take a slow, deep breath. Listen to your own breathing. Notice how the words move gently in your mind. That's how natural English feels, not forced, not memorized, just alive and flowing. One day, Leo's manager called him again. We have another project starting next month. I'd like you to take part again, but this time, we'll do things your way. Fewer meetings, more focus. We all saw how well that worked. Leo was surprised and proud. His way of calm productivity was spreading. He realized something profound. When you change your rhythm, you change the rhythm of the world around you. People respond to calm energy. It creates trust. It inspires balance. And maybe that's the truest kind of productivity, not pushing others harder, but guiding them gently toward clarity. That evening, Leo walked home as the sun set. He stopped by a small bakery and bought a warm loaf of bread. The air smelled like sugar and cinnamon. He smiled at the baker and said softly, "It's been a long week. I think I'll treat myself." The baker laughed. "That's the spirit, my friend. You've got to enjoy life while it's here." Leo nodded. Exactly. He walked home with the bread under his arm, feeling light. The world was still busy. The city was still loud. But inside him, peace remained. And that peace made him more productive than he had ever been. Now, my friend, let me tell you something that connects deeply to English learning and to life. There will always be noise around you, distractions, expectations, deadlines. You can't remove them all. But you can choose your rhythm. You can choose how you move through it. You can choose to breathe between sentences. You can choose to learn slowly with joy. Because language, like life, is not a race to finish. It's a rhythm to live in. As Leo watched the sunset from his window that night, he whispered quietly, "This is what productivity really means, not doing everything, but doing what matters with peace." He closed his notebook, smiled, and turned off the lights. Tomorrow would come with its own noise and challenges. But Leo knew he had found his rhythm. And maybe you are finding yours too. The world outside was quiet. The sun was rising over the city, painting everything in soft gold. Leo stood by his window, watching the morning light touch the rooftops. He had learned to start every day in silence, no rush, no noise, no screens. Just a moment of stillness. It had been almost 6 months since the storm at work, and life had found a beautiful rhythm. He still worked hard, but not desperately. He still cared deeply, but not anxiously. He still wanted to grow, but not at the cost of peace. Everything felt balanced. But life has a way of testing balance, not to break it, but to make it stronger. One Friday afternoon, Leo received a call from his mother. Her voice was calm, but there was something underneath, a quiet worry. "Leo," she said softly, "your father hasn't been feeling well lately. The doctor says we should do more tests." The words hit him like cold air. He felt his chest tighten. "Is it serious?" he asked. "We don't know yet," she replied. "Can you come home this weekend?" "Of course," he said, already grabbing his bag. That evening, Leo took the train out of the city. He sat by the window, watching the landscape change, tall buildings fading into open fields, traffic turning into silence. The sound of the train was steady, like a heartbeat. He thought about his father, a man of few words, strong hands, and quiet wisdom. When Leo was young, his father always said, "You can't control the wind, son, but you can adjust your sails." Leo smiled sadly. Now it was time to live those words again. When he arrived home, his mother hugged him tightly. His father was resting in his chair, smiling faintly. "Hey, son," he said, his voice gentle but tired. "You look peaceful." Leo knelt beside him and held his hand. "I've been learning," he said softly. Slowly but surely. They talked for a while, about work, about painting, about small things. But Leo could feel the weight of uncertainty in the room. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, Leo stepped outside into the cool night air. The sky was full of stars. He looked up and whispered, "How do you stay calm when life itself becomes uncertain?" The wind answered with silence. In the days that followed, Leo helped his parents around the house. He cooked meals, drove his father to the clinic, and stayed quiet during long waiting hours. There were moments when fear rose in his chest, old, familiar waves of anxiety. But each time, he reminded himself, "Breathe. Be here. Focus on what matters now." He learned that stillness doesn't mean nothing happens. Stillness means being steady when everything else moves. Even when the world shakes, your calm can hold you steady. One morning, as he was cleaning the kitchen, his father said, "You've changed, Leo. You used to rush all the time. Now you move differently." Leo smiled. "I had to slow down to see what really matters." His father nodded. "That's strength. Not speed, steadiness." Those words stayed with Leo for days. He realized that his journey wasn't about time management or productivity anymore. It was about presence. Being here fully. With work, with people, with himself. A few weeks later, the test results came back. The doctors said it wasn't serious, something manageable with care and rest. Everyone breathed again. Relief filled the house like sunlight. That night, Leo sat outside under the same stars and whispered, "Thank you." He thought about everything that had happened, the chaos, the storms, the lessons. He realized something simple but powerful. All this time, he hadn't been learning how to manage time. He had been learning how to live it. Now, let's pause for a moment, my friend. Take a deep breath. In and out. Think about your own journey, not just in English, but in life. Have you ever felt lost in the noise, chasing things that didn't bring you peace? Have you ever felt like you were running, but not moving forward? If you have, you're not alone. We all go through that. But like Leo, you can choose a new rhythm. You can choose focus instead of hurry. You can choose peace instead of pressure. And when you do, something beautiful happens. Your mind becomes clear, your voice becomes calm, and your English starts to sound more natural, more real. Because when you're calm, you speak with clarity. When you're focused, you listen deeply. When you're present, you learn faster without rushing. That's the quiet secret of fluency. Months later, Leo returned to the city. Work continued, life continued, but he was no longer the same. People noticed his steady confidence, his peaceful energy. He didn't talk about productivity anymore. He simply lived it. One afternoon, he sat at his desk, painting again during lunch break. A coworker walked by and said, "How do you always stay so calm, Leo? Don't you ever feel stressed?" Leo smiled and replied, "Of course I do. But I've learned something. Peace isn't found. It's practiced." He dipped his brush into the paint and added quietly, "And so is productivity." Now, dear listener, as you hear this story, maybe you can feel a quiet truth growing inside you. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to do everything. You don't need to rush to become fluent in English or successful in life. You just need to stay steady, to keep showing up, to breathe, to grow slowly. Because slow doesn't mean weak. It means lasting. Leo learned that real strength comes from stillness, and so can you. So as you finish the story, close your eyes for a moment and repeat softly in English. I am not just busy. I am becoming balanced. I am not chasing time. I am creating peace. I am growing quietly, deeply, and truly. Feel each word. This is not just a story, it's your practice. Your moment of calm learning. So keep walking your fluent English journey, not with hurry, but with harmony. Not with fear, but with focus. And remember, true productivity is not about doing more. It's about being more.